Hello and welcome to today's lecture. This is the last lecture of the Mies Memorial Library competition, which means it's time to take a look at Mies' legacy. By definition, a legacy is something that you leave behind after you are gone. And Mies left so much and in so many forms. Let's start with the obvious. Mies left over 70 build projects, which just by itself would be a lot. But on top of that, if anyone had to make a list of the most iconic or exemplary buildings of the last century, many of Mies' work would definitely make it into that list. Think about the Tugendhat House, the Barcelona Pavilion, Lakeshore Drive, the Seagram Building, the Crown Hall, the Farnsworth House. The list goes on. It's just mind-blowing and something that has been achieved by only a few architects in history. That's Mies' legacy in the more traditional sense of the word. But he left behind a lot more. One of his greatest accomplishments is, without a doubt, the architecture curriculum he developed at the IIT. His curriculum set the grounds for a new way of teaching architecture, and a big part of it is still used today at the IIT. The impact of this curriculum, though, does not only affect Chicago. As faculty from the IIT moved to other schools, and also as the world embraced the international style with open arms, the curriculum spread to other states and countries around the world. Clients were ready to pay big money for modern architecture, so schools had to be able to teach it. And what better way to do so than to use the basis set by no other than one of the fathers of modern architecture himself, Mies van der Rohe. The success of this curriculum meant that Mies' architecture didn't die with him. Many architects after him followed his steps and built on top of the foundations that he set. The examples are many, but if we had to highlight one firm which over the years has attracted Mies-like architects, that is unquestionably Skidmore, Owings Merrill, also known as SOM or SOM. SOM is a truly global architecture practice with projects in all continents. Its founders are not alive anymore, but SOM has managed to keep a consistent philosophy and style in their designs through dozens of partners who have worked under their umbrella. These partners include names such as Gordon Bouchard, who amongst many others was in charge of designing the Lever House in New York, or the Manufacturers Trust Building, also in New York, or the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. And what about Bruce Graham, who was also a partner at SOM? He was the hand behind the Willis Tower or the John Hancock Center. And what about Walter Knecht, who designed the Paul Galvin Library at the IIT that we saw in a previous lecture, and that is next to the Crown Hall where you're going to be designing the new Mies Memorial Library. He was also in charge of designing other important buildings such as the Cadet Chapel at the US Force Academy in Colorado. Or more recent names like David Childs, who designed the One World Trade Center in New York, or Adrian Smith, architect of the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, or the Jinmao Tower in Shanghai, amongst many other super tall structures. You see how our cities, regardless of where in the world they might be, are all touched by the hand of modern architecture, and therefore the architectural style and ideas that Mies helped to establish and promote. So, for example, Mies never got to build in Shanghai. But today we can say that Shanghai wouldn't be exactly as we know it if it wasn't for Mies. That's the power of Mies' architecture curriculum and his international architectural language. Okay, but SOM is just one architecture practice, you might argue. That is only halfway true. SOM is a single architecture practice, yes, but it is a partnership of many architects who have come together under this name to be able to tackle much larger and important projects than they would have on their own. So it's not a single studio as many other single studios. But anyway, SOM is one of the clearest examples of Mies' continuity in time, but it's not the only one. Many other architects have designed following Mies' step. Take a look at this house by Norman Foster in Japan, for example. Or what about many of the houses designed by Alberto Campo Baeza? Or wait, there's more. Take a look at this house by Tezuka Architects. What do you think? None of these were designed by Mies. Actually, most of them are quite recent. Yet, if we applied some vintage filters to these photos, someone could definitely be fooled into believing that they were designed by Mies, don't you think? We hope you've enjoyed this journey through the life and works of Mies as much as we have. We also hope that these lectures have taught you a few things that you might have not known about Mies. Or, at the very least, that they have helped you sort and organize your ideas and knowledges about this legendary figure and father of the international style and modern architecture. Now, it's up to you to take this knowledge and apply it to the design of the new Mies Memorial Library in your own way. There are no magic formulas when it comes to designing next to a landmark building such as the Crown Hall, or about how to design a building to celebrate the life of one of the greatest architects of all times. The challenge is not easy, but as Mies showed us, it's usually when pushing the boundaries that great things are achieved. We can't wait to see all of your designs and ideas for this brief. See you in the next competition. Bye.